What if the real problem with modern dating isn't a lack of love, but a loss of order? Welcome to Black Love Dialogue and Wine, a private podcast experience for those serious about love, marriage, and legacy. This isn't surface level romance. These are intentional conversations reclaiming the strongest love ever known, Black love. In today's dating culture, we've normalized trauma bonding and calling it commitment. We've romanticized love while forgetting marriage was built for legacy before feelings. At Black Love Dialogue, we restore balance, honoring love and structure, emotion and purpose. If you're seeking love, strengthening it, or preparing for marriage, this private experience gives you the mindset and resources to build lasting pair bonds. This private Zoom takes place 8 p.m. Eastern, last Sundays of the month. So get your tickets on eventbrite.com and bring your flask so we can toast and deep dive into legacy before love, featuring therapists Makaya Dominguez, Marilyn Odwini, mental health advocate Chris James, and award-winning relationship coaches Fala Antoine, Derek Cecile Clark, and Vaun The Love Alchemist with over 35 years of marriage. Hey man, we got the 35-year married Vaun The Love Alchemist in this thing. We are a week away from a solution to what's happening in our community when it comes to Black love, Black families, for those serious about love, marriage, and legacy. Thank you, Vaun, for doing this once again as we promote our private podcast experience. So thank you for being with us, King.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me, brother.
Absolutely, man. We're going to keep this thing short and quick. We're just trying to give people a little taste out here publicly, right? So they can understand what we're going to be doing privately and doing a deep dive into this thing we call love, marriage, and legacy, or as I highlight, legacy before love. And it's really about, as the promo says, it's really about the order of things. That's what I think is missing overall out there. And so what I did was go get people like yourself who are successfully married, who are actually in the relationship space trying to help others have a successful marriage through experience. So I went and found a bunch of people like yourself, including some licensed therapists and mental health activists, to have a deeper dive than what people are seeing on these, relationship podcasts and things that are out there. And no knock on them, but we just wanted to do it a lot more serious and more intimate, if that makes sense. And so, if you will, brother, I would love for you real quick before we play the first clip, because this clip is going to be an example of what they'll get when they are on the podcast. If you watch this, understand when you join us for, it's actually a private Zoom. So you won't be watching us like you're watching now. You'll actually be participating in these dialogues, and we'll have experts in the room like Vaun, and you can talk, give your opinion, or ask your questions as well. So I do want to highlight what we're showing you here is just a little taste, but it's not as interactive as the actual Zoom will be. And so if you will, Vaun, 35 years married, man, give me a short synopsis of how the heck you pull that off.
Oh man, my wife gets
yeah.
Am I there? Yeah, I think
you froze up for a second.
I give most of the credit to my wife, man. She was very patient while I, took the time to grow and mature and learn. And first and foremost, I would say patience on her part, and she gave me a lot of grace. But I think, in being more complete, T.D. Jakes had this quote one time. He said that we have a tendency to give ourselves all the time and grace that we need to evolve while expecting the other person to show up as a finished product. Right. But if we just extend that same level of grace, and again, I'm not talking about somebody who's just down and out. I'm not talking about that. But I mean, just leaving room for growth and understanding that people make mistakes and giving them grace in their evolution. I think doing those things has really benefited us greatly.
Now that sounds good. I'm gonna put you on the spot so if you can pull one out your head. When did she give you some of that grace that you're talking about we need to learn to give to the other person? When did she give it to you? Can you recall a situation where you was like, oh, I thought I knew what I was doing? And
man, I'm gonna get real personal. I'm gonna get real personal if you don't mind. There was a time.
That's up to you, brother. This is your life. I'm just asking for an example.
There was a time earlier in our marriage, we had been together, I think maybe 4 or 5 years. And she said that, she was a stay-at-home mom at the time. And she said to hear my car pull up in the driveway made her stomach hurt. Yeah. That's how much she didn't like me at the time. She couldn't. I mean, it was. I look, man. I
Couldn't
was
stomach you
young.
coming home.
Look, I was arrogant. You know, I knew it all. I was very inflexible. I had a lot of growing to do, man. A lot of maturing to do. And she said, you know, just to hear your car pull up in the driveway makes my stomach hurt. And I said, now here's me. I said, well, you know, I said maybe we should go ahead and get some counseling. She said, nah, we don't need counseling. She said, I don't need counseling. You need to fix your sugar honey iced tea. She put it all on me. Now, in this time, check this out.
Okay.
Not only was she right, she was 110% right because it was me. But not only that, but she kept doing her duties, her job, doing her
Wow.
role in the
Ooh,
marriage. Like talk about
ooh-wee.
talk about character
Ooh-wee.
and standing 10 toes down, man. This is why I give my wife as much credit as I do, man.
I see
So
what you're saying.
she put the ball solely in my court. She said, I ain't going to counseling. You need to fix your sugar honey iced tea. And I said, wow. And so, man, that just kind of began the journey of me kind of growing to, you know, where I'm at now. Did we
And where
freeze?
you at now, brother, is why I picked you. As I said the last time I had you on, we ain't gonna keep boring them with why we had you on. We're gonna let people hear your wisdom just through action. So we're gonna play this cut, and I just want your perspective on it. And if you are part of dialogue, this is how it will go. We'll have just to give the format real quick. So we'll open up with cuts where our experts will give their dialogue, and you can give dialogue too. Again, y'all can participate just as much as our experts. Our experts are not participating more. We just want to have people who know what they're doing, who understand what marriage actually takes. We want to make sure we have their wisdom in the room, but you can participate equally. So that's how the inner system Zoom will start. Then we will move into the inner working of relationships, a very key book to understanding how to, in a sense, learn together. My camera cut off, y'all, but y'all can still hear me. And so, anyway, so book, real key book, and then we'll open the forum up for any of you that have questions. You're learning, you're already married, you're just married. This is the perfect podcast to basically what we're doing is building a community. We know that in a sense, the village has been lost. So we want to build a community strictly around Black love, because in the past, you could go through the neighborhood and get some advice on how to handle your new wife or how to handle your new husband. Like we had that community. So we're just building it all over again. So I just wanted to give that context before I play this clip, and we'll get Ravon's reaction to this clip right here. All right, let me line it up. See if I can get back on camera while that's happening too.
There is only one major difference between a wife and a mistress, and that one thing is energy. See, a mistress, she knows that she's not the wife. So what does she do? She leans into what gives her power. Softness, silence, seduction, knowing how to speak his language. And because she does this so well, she doesn't fight for a title. She makes him fight for her attention instead. And the wife, she already won the ring, but most of the time she stopped playing the game. She forgot men don't just marry because they love you. They marry how you make them feel about themselves. The mistress is magnetic and alluring, while the wife is managing. That is the very reason why a man expects the woman to speak to his ego while lying next to the woman who only speaks to his obligation. This isn't about glorifying a mistress or normalizing cheating. It's about never retiring your femininity. Because whether you like it or not, once you stop being an experience, that's when he starts looking for one.
Your thoughts, brother, because we want to go hard with these conversations. We're not trying to be light. We're not trying to be perfect. We want to have real dialogue. So what's your thoughts on hearing that cut for the first time?
Yeah, I think when she said never retiring your femininity, man, that's a heavy piece. That's 100% accurate. I think, you know, I mean, we hear a lot of things about why this and why that, and I don't know that everything that I agree with everything that she said necessarily, but the retiring your femininity piece and remaining soft and remaining alluring and appealing and attractive to your man. And even if you want to flip that and say for your woman, you should remain attractive for her too. I think we owe each other. Look, if I retired and got out the game for you, and you retired and got out the game for me, then I owe you the best version of myself that I'm able to produce, and vice versa. So I think that speaks to that femininity part. And then also I think a lot of times people, that movie, Why Did I Get Married, where they talked about the 80-20 rule, right? And I think sometimes somebody can just offer you a sample, just a small piece of what you're not getting at home. And, if you're not careful, you can, not careful because you shouldn't do it, but I think it may be tempting to fall in love with that 20% because you're so starved for it at home. And so we got to keep those lines of communication open, and to the point that she made, remain attractive to each other.
No, I love it. I'll just point out, because I know you said you quite agree with everything. And we're not playing the cuts for agreement per se, right? It's to create these dialogues. And so, so I think the reality of what you were speaking to before the clip is how your wife maintained the obligations while you didn't have your SHIT together, right? And so I say all that to say that even with there is some brilliance in that clip from that young lady, right? There is some brilliance in it. I'll say, however, even without that, it's maintaining for the 80% and not being tempted for the 20%. You need to maintain. You need to maintain and hold the frame. We get how it's, like you said, it can be enticing because, as you said, you're so starved for something. So we get how that's a reality. But if you make the commitment for the right reasons and for legacy, then it becomes often easier. I don't know if I use the word easier, but it keeps you focused on why you did it, because there are going to be moments where you both fail at maintaining your frame. I'm assuming that you could tell me that better than I can, brother.
There was a clip, I don't know what movie or TV show it was from, and I don't know if I sent it to you, but there was this husband and wife talking, and she was asking him, he had cheated on her, and she asked him, is she prettier than me? Is she better looking than me? Is she all these different things that she asked him? And he said, no, it's none of those things. And then she said, well, if she's not prettier than me, and if she's not, she doesn't make more money than me, she doesn't have a better job than me, then why couldn't it just be me? And he said, because she's softer than you. He said, she doesn't make me feel like the only thing that keeps her from being happy is me. And I'm just like, oh man, I gotta send you that piece, brother. But
yeah, we gotta look at that one. We gotta look at that one.
It speaks to the softness aspect, the femininity aspect that this sister was just talking about in the video that you played, and how important it is of how we make each other feel in our relationship. I think it's crucial that we never lose sight of how we make each other feel.
Yeah, I always say the masculine and feminine is a beautiful dance. And the reason it's a beautiful dance is because we sometimes mistakenly serve the other with how we want to be served, but not understanding the dance is because of where we complement, not where we're the same. And
right on.
So sometimes that's what's missed. And so when you lean into that softness, it's because of what you desire versus vice versa. A lot of times they admire our strength. You know what I mean? But, in today's time, a lot of times people are butting head because they're looking for the same thing that they're looking for in the other, or serving the other, or loving the other in the way that they would want to be loved. And so I think what you're talking about speaks to that. All right, let's play this other clip, man, and get us out of here, brother. One more clip again and give people just a little, idea of what we're doing. Of course, the difference is they'll be able to talk to versus just watch.
I will tell you that both of them got a lot of attention from guys. Most of the guys were not worthy of a lot of their time and attention. But I will say that there were a few times where they said no. I mean, and I'm not talking about to a major sexual advance. I'm just saying, no, you can't have my attention. No, I won't be your girlfriend. No, I won't continue to be your girlfriend if you continue to do these kinds of things. And then they watch the men, the young men, the 16-year-old, the 17-year-old reform because the girl has something they want, even if it's just attention, even if it's just saying she is my girlfriend.
Well, there's nothing about attention. There's nothing but attention, right? Attention is everything. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I just think that, my daughters have seen the incredible power of no.
Yeah.
And I will tell young girls, because I've been involved in youth ministry for decades. I was running the youth ministry at our church until about a year ago. And I tell girls, like, if there's a guy that you really like, and if you want him to pursue you, you say no to pretty much everything. No, I won't hold your hand. No, I mean, be kind, right? Yeah, you can go on a date, but if it has to do with a physical advance, the more you say no, the more your desirability goes up. If you want him to move on, give him what he wants physically. So
no,
once
give him
girls
what his
figure out the
whims
power
want.
of no.
Give him what his whims
Yes,
want.
that's right.
Right. Because you're
Yes.
serving the lowest part of him. Right. And I don't mean that,
Yes,
I don't
that's
mean
right.
that in some sexually prudish element. I'm saying that sexual desire itself is a short-term gratification seeking mechanism, so to speak. And it has to be integrated into a personality that's forward-looking and future-oriented and social. And if the relationship degenerates to the immediately sexual, then it serves no one's medium to long-term interests, and certainly not society's interests, certainly not children's interests, not least because it tends to culminate in abortion.
That's right. Yep, that's exactly right. Kids lose. Anytime sex is happening outside of long-term committed heterosexual permanent unions, kids will always pay the price for that. I think that that's one of the reasons why we are where we are in terms of marriage and family, is we have pretended like there's no cost. But there is a cost. There's always a cost to kids. We've said if the adults are happy, the kids will be happy. We've said biology doesn't matter. Love makes a family. But that's not true. Somebody is always going to pay the price. It's just the kids who pay it because they can't defend their own rights.
For those serious about love, marriage, and legacy, the Black Love Dialogue, a private podcast experience is for you. What are your thoughts as that's Jordan Peterson and his wife just kind of giving their dialogue about different aspects and bringing it back to family? Because at the end of the day, we're having this conversation for those who want that type of legacy. Go ahead, brother.
Yeah, at the beginning, she said women must learn to say no. I think there's a difference between having game and playing games, right? And
Okay.
there is something to be said about remaining alluring and enticing that man to pursue you, but you got to be mindful that you don't turn him off, or don't make him aware that you're at least interested. Because if you're just so focused on saying no, and he can't, he won't. You say no to holding your hand. You say no to everything, and like what she was saying. I think she might be. I wonder if she was going too far, and I would like to hear more of it so I can get a fuller context. But again, there's a difference between having game, which is to say remain enticing, remain alluring, remain keep him interested, keep his interest piqued, versus just saying no for the sake of saying no and then run the risk of turning away something that had potential. But I do think when it comes like what they were saying about sex, I think the more interested a woman is in a man, the longer she should wait to have sex with him. To that point of immediate gratification, these same night, same weekend type of things before you actually get to know him, before you're fully aware of what his intentions are, what his desires are, what his plan for his life is. And then there's a sweet spot there too, because you don't want to venture into the point where you lose that sexual spark and now you friend zone the guy that you really did have interest in. So I'm sure we'll dive more into that as we move forward in the podcast as well. So, yeah.
No, absolutely. Good stuff, man. A couple of things I'll say and we'll get out of here. I when she was saying be kind, I think that's moving along the idea of being alluring, and Jordan Peterson also jumped in and kind of highlighted specifically the lower into the whims. That's why he was kind of worried about what you were worried about. I think that's why he specifically talked about whims.
Right.
And he was kind of highlighting that versus accommodating and doing the stuff that he wants. That's more medium thought, more long-term thinking. But the whims of just the sexual feeling and the arousal, he said that's what you say no to. So he definitely tried to clean it up, because she definitely sounded like you said, like it's just, no to everything. You go to the radio, even like say, even the way, the guy that that you actually want to be with. So absolutely. But I always tell sisters at the end of the day, especially in current times, that we always admire the woman that makes you wait. Like just I'm talking about as men. Like, if a man's never told you that, I'm telling you now, we always admire and put them on a pedestal. And I've even done that. And in a sense, I'll admit this, pedalize it to the extent that I'm missing other things because that was so different in current times.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Like there were other things I needed to look at. You know what I mean? But I'm sitting here going, dang, nobody, no, in today's time, nobody makes you wait this long. So, and I'm not the only one. I've had friends. The first thing they brag about was we didn't. And women don't know that. But literally, the guys are going to other guys saying, "Oh man, she might be because she made me wait 3 weeks." Like that's a thing in current times.
It is.
I know you've been gone. You've been out the game 35 years, so. I know back when you was, I'm assuming back then 3 weeks was still normal.
Yeah. I mean, I met my wife when I was 12, so.
So yeah, you don't know. Like I said, when I listen to the young guys now, it's no time in it.
Yeah.
It wasn't a lot of time for us either. Like I said, it wasn't a lot of time for us. So, all right, man. So yeah, we're gonna do this thing January the 25th, 8 p.m. Go to let me put the banner up and we out of here. And this is how you get your tickets. If you know my brother Vaun and want to make sure he get his credit, make sure you sign up under his name. You're gonna see his name. My name is Montoya Smith. So yeah, if you're joining the broadcast and you know one of our hosts, make sure you sign up under the host at blacklovedialogue.eventbrite.com. And I had this happen at the Mental Dialogue Live Experience. I do my events up here once a month, right? Remember that, Vaun? I do my events. So this past Friday, when I was highlighting Black Love Dialogue, I asked some people, I said, what's the most important decision you'll make in your life? And they came up with the person said, the person that you'll marry and have children with, right? So I said, hey, that's a consensus. Then I said, think about it. You get coaching and direction and take classes for anything you want to do in life. But we typically, the most important decision you'll ever make, we often are doing it trial and error. We're often doing it trial and error. So I turned around and asked them, I said, how much would you spend to get the most important decision you would ever make? How much is that worth to you? One guy said $100,000.
It's worth that too.
And he's thinking big because your lady gonna multiply you, right? So he said 100, like he said it would be worth that to him. And I said, well, for $25, we got solutions for you. January 25th, 8 p.m. Eastern time. You can't beat it. $25 to get exposed to people like you. Man, it's an opportunity.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. I'm looking forward
to it. All right, y'all. Hope y'all catch us at Black Love Dialogue. Appreciate you, brother.
All right, brother.
All right, we out.